Hi everyone. I almost didn't do this video because I've been pretty much in a food coma all day. But I've had some really interesting conversations with friends over the past week, and I really wanted to come on here and share them with you. I even wrote down a couple of notes just to, kind of try to stay on subject at least. I mean, I'm ADHD, so that's kind of hard to do. But, yeah, it was a lot of fun, and this week has been pretty eventful. First off, I wanted to send thanks out to a friend of mine who had suggested, especially when you're going through a really hard time, especially for women, they have a tendency of carrying a lot of stress in their hips and lower back and such. Men usually carry it in their shoulders and lower backs, so, I mean, there's a bit of a difference, but she did suggest that I do some yoga poses that opened up the hips, and oh my gosh, it helped so much. So definitely want to say that, I'm a very big advocate for yoga, which I really wasn't in the beginning, because I'm kind of one of those girls that, oh, yoga, it's so girly and all this other stuff, and I've always had to be really tough and really, kind of burly and kind of, that type of person. But I tell you what, since I've been doing yoga and the breathing exercises and things like that, they really help a lot. So, I mean, I know it may seem, kind of girly, but it's really rough, actually. It's kind of hard to do. So, but I've been doing it now for every night for about a year, and it's been amazing. It's really helped me just open up, and the book that I'm reading, The Body Keeps the Score, talks about breathing exercises and over oxygenating your or oxygenating your cells and things like that, which is one of the things that a lot of warriors used to do before they would go into battle. I mean, that was one of the reasons for the battle cry, was to kind of over oxygenate their cells, and it centers you, focuses you, and helps with strength. It helps with endurance, a lot of stuff. So I definitely recommend it. So I did want to send a shout out to that friend, and you know who you are. And but yeah, I've been talking to a lot of friends. One of the things that I wanted to address was about control, especially when it comes to like addiction and things like that. I've always believed that control is an illusion, and therefore the idea that anyone or anything has control over you is an illusion as well. And I mean, if that makes sense, please, feel free to leave me a comment. I love discussions and things like that. I want to know, what you think, and what you'd like to hear more about, and how you're doing, just in general. I've been talking to a lot of friends lately that have been showing a tremendous amount of growth, and I'm so incredibly proud of them. That it makes me feel so good to hear that, the happiness and the confidence in them, just, it shines, and I could, it's like a beam. I love it. And so I want to hear how you're doing, If there's anything that you'd like to discuss, communication is key in any relationship. So I'd love to hear from you. I also wanted to, bring up like the emotions and stuff like that I've been going through. Still, even though it's been a little bit after my friend passed away, I am still going through a lot of range of emotions and things like that. As I've said before, grief has no set trajectory, and and no set timeline or anything like that. But one of the things that has been helping a lot is expressing those emotions. And sometimes you have to be careful about who you express those emotions to. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes there's a point of empowerment when if somebody belittles the way that you're feeling, when you stand up for yourself and say, you know what, this is the way I feel, and I'm not going to let you change that. I did have a conversation with this one, I'm going to say person, because used to be a friend, was somebody that I thought, we had a connection, and turns out we didn't. And he tried to belittle my feelings and what I was going through and things like that, and told me that I needed to watch my attitude because I'm a Capricorn. And he was like, well, us Capricorns have a little bit of an attitude all the time. And I'm just like, no, that's not what this is. I'm going through a lot right now. And he goes, well, you need to answer your phone. I was, no, I don't. And he goes, well, I'm sorry, but life is life. And I'm just like, no, that's not the way this works. And that's not comforting at all. And I was just like, I told him point blank, I was like, I feel like you're belittling my emotions and my feelings. And that's not fair. And that's very hurtful. And I don't appreciate it at all. And, the thing is like he went through a very traumatic situation. I'm not going to, get into it and stuff like that. And I'm like, and I did tell him, I was just like, do you like it when people tell you that to suck it up and deal with it because it's life? And he was just like, no, that hurt. And I was just like, okay, if you don't want somebody doing it to you, why would you, saying or doing it to you, why would you say or do it to somebody else? And I go, I would never say that to you. And because it's not empathetic whatsoever. And he was just like, he just said that I was impossible because he was just trying to be nice. And I go, that wasn't nice. And I have no more contact with him. It's, the rules are simple. If you don't want someone doing or saying it to you, don't do or say it to them. It's, and the same can be said about yourself as well. If you wouldn't say or do it to somebody else, please don't do it or say it to yourself. You don't deserve that. You deserve better. You deserve to treat yourself like a very best friend. Be open, be honest with yourself. That's one person that you should be able to be open and honest with. And it's amazing some of the things that I used to say to myself that were just incredibly toxic and not healthy at all. And it didn't make me feel good at all, you know. I mean, I think I've reached the point of happiness in my life right now because I started empowering myself, and I started actually, being honest with myself, but also being understanding with myself, and being nurturing to myself to help myself grow. And that's one of the things that I would like to encourage with everybody out there is be understanding with yourself. Don't belittle the feelings that you're going through, because they are your feelings and you don't deserve that, especially from yourself. You know, I've talked about it before, as far as like, people saying things to me that I didn't deserve. And at first I took it to heart, and I was just like, well, maybe they're right. No, they're not right. And you don't deserve to be treated or spoken to like that. You deserve your happiness. You deserve to feel at least content. I mean, Greg always used to say, shoot for content and let happiness happen. Greg, my late husband. And that's one of the things that I've learned to celebrate the small things, and, enjoy just, simple things like, one thing I call my happy place. I mentioned it in my first video, and it's just, Christmas lights on my bunk bed. But it's beautiful and it makes me happy, We should really celebrate those things within ourselves. Don't be afraid to toot your own horn, because you do deserve it, And don't be afraid to toot your own horn with yourself as well. Get excited about the little things. I mean, shoot, you didn't blow up at somebody who was being really rude to you. Celebrate that. That's awesome, And just take a minute and acknowledge that. Hey, that shows growth. That shows, that you're strengthening yourself. You're not letting anybody else have any control over your emotions. That is amazing. Especially when there are a lot of people out there who usually have a tendency of not handling situations very appropriately, and I mean, I totally get it. I mean, sometimes I let my emotions get the best of me, and I usually wind up regretting it. But I've gotten to the point where I don't want to feel that regret, and I don't want to feel that. So, if there's somebody who's trying to influence my emotions, in a negative way, I try to take a step back and remember what people think of you has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. And that is from Jen Sicero's book, You Are a Badass. And I absolutely love that book. It's wonderful. But I was listening to another channel here on YouTube called Magnetize Yourself, and it is phenomenal. I absolutely love the host is Infinity, and her voice is just so soothing, and she's so inspirational. She's very, very empowering to everybody that she is talking to the people who resonate with her. She is so empowering, and I love that. I had a friend who used to say, if you're having a bad day, build somebody else up, and you'll both feel better. And I know it's hard to do sometimes, especially when especially when you're around people who don't really build you up. You want to try to meet their energy, but the thing is like, that's what they're trying to get you to do. And in a sense, that's kind of them taking control. If you don't let them pull you down to their level, then you don't give them control, you know? And I mean, I know control is an illusion, but you don't, in a sense, okay, you don't give them your power. We'll put it that way. But that was one of the things that I was talking to one of my friends about, was as far as like jealousy. Because we were just talking about how we don't really understand the people that are jealous, and they try to pull you down to their level. And we couldn't quite understand until it kind of dawned on me. I was like, especially with the idea of what people think of you has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. I was like, jealousy comes from the belief that they don't deserve better. This mentality comes from the inability to see that they are standing in their own way. And that's just it, when you have confidence and you have happiness and things like that, some people get jealous because they feel like they could never achieve that happiness and that confidence and something like that. They can. They really can. But they've got to stop suppressing themselves, because in a way, suppressing your emotions and your feelings is giving up on yourself. And you don't deserve that. You deserve to be stood up for. You deserve to have that confidence and have that happiness, So, I mean, that's why I said in the beginning of this video, treat yourself understandingly and with grace and with sweetness. You deserve that, Show yourself some self-love. Listen to yourself. Listen to your body. Listen to your gut. You deserve that. And with that, I'm going to wish you good night, and I hope you have a good day.